All right, everybody, I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today, I am wearing my Yukon Huskies t-shirt because that's my favorite college basketball team, and I got my Utah Jazz t-shirt up here because that's my favorite NBA team, because we are going to be reviewing John Grisham's new novel. Just came out a couple days ago. It is titled Sooley, and it's about basketball. It's about college basketball and the NBA and the Sudan. So we're going to get into the review here in a minute. We always review the covers first. You know I love graphic design and I love illustration. John Grisham books, they always have, a pretty elegant look to them, and I think this one is got everything we need. It's got the basketball, it's got the Sudan desert back here, nice typeface, nice font, very eye-catching. It's gonna go really well with my John Grisham collection of books right here. I got every John Grisham book right here on this shelf. What did I think about this? That's a bit of a departure from your typical John Grisham legal thriller, that's for sure. This book is about basketball and Africa. And the melding of the two things here, oh my gosh, I had a lump in my throat from the first opening pages of this book until the end. I knew I was going to be in for a heartbreaking ride just from the opening chapter. I was like, okay, this book is going to have me in tears at the end, and I'm telling you, I was tearing up within the first 50 pages. This book is about Samuel Suleiman. It takes place in 2016. Samuel Suleiman lives in a Sudanese village, very destitute Sudanese village, and he plays a lot of basketball, and he plays on a dirt court. But there's this basketball scout that sort of goes to different villages around Africa and looks for kids that might have talent. And he sees Suleiman. He sees that Suleiman is just he's just a kid, and he's got a lot of potential. Even though he can leap like a deer, he's fast as lightning, he just can't shoot. So the scout invites him to the big city in Sudan, which I believe is called Juta or something like that. I can't remember, but the town he's living in is called Lata, and he gets invited to the big city to participate in a boys' basketball camp. And the boys' basketball camp is for young boys that are teenagers, and they can, if they make the Sudanese team, they get to go play in a tournament in America. So it's a big deal. And so this scout, he gathers all of these different talented boys to the basketball camp, and they've all got dreams of being, LeBron James. I mean, they know they know about basketball, they know about American college basketball, they know about the NBA, because they do get the internet, they do get some TV shows there, and some Sudanese people have went on to become famous NBA stars, and so they worship these guys. And so this is a big deal, and everybody in the village of Lata knows that Suleiman has got a golden opportunity to go to this basketball camp, and his parents are so proud. They throw a huge party for him on his way out of town, and this is a big deal for these people. And it just, the contrast we see of how poor and destitute and how awful things are in different parts of the world. I mean, every time I read a book about Africa, whether it's a Wilbur Smith book or a John Le Carre's The Constant Gardener, and you just start to think, wow, I have it so lucky here in America when I read about these people in Africa that just want the best for their children. And so he goes to the camp, and it's just, he wants to play basketball so bad. He practices and practices. He's not very good. He's fast, and he can jump, and he's got some athletic skill, but he cannot shoot to save his life. he cannot hit a basket. So he practices every day. He knows that, Steph Curry practiced tens of thousands of shots a day, and he's like, I'm going to be like Steph Curry, I'm going to practice. And so he does it, and the coaches notices his determination. So when it comes down to the time they have to pick the 10 top players out of the Sudan teenagers to go to America, he's the last one picked, and they're like, they don't know whether he should really be part of the group or not, but they're like, man, his determination and work ethic is the best, so let's put him on. But the thing is you watch these coaches cut the other players. They have to go back to their villages, just devastated. And it's so heartbreaking to just see the coaches. They don't want to do that. They hate that part of their job, and they send these boys that have such big dreams their one chance to get out of awful situation and go to America, to a place they've never been, and a dream come true, and their dreams are dashed. And anyway, they take the 10, and they say, you are going to be our 10, so in a couple months we're going to fly you to America. And they send Suleiman back to his village. Well, Suleiman goes back to the village. All this stuff that I'm talking about takes place within the first 50 pages. I am not going to give spoilers to anything here, folks, but I am going to set up the scene here. Suleiman's bus trip back to his village is a harrowing, gripping bus ride. I mean, people want to kidnap people off the bus. People want to ambush the bus. There's just outlaws and brigands and all sorts of things that are just, and you're just, oh my gosh, Sooley, he's got to make it to America. Suleiman's got to make it to America and play basketball. He can't be killed by these thugs and every danger that's around every corner in Africa. But anyway, he makes it back, and he ends up going to America, and that's where things... And it's one heartbreak after the next, because Suleiman is now in America playing basketball. It's his dream. He's in this tournament. All the colleges like UConn and Syracuse and Villanova, they're scouting these teenager boys from the Sudan. And he knows that if he impresses them, he can get a college education in America. And meanwhile, back in the Sudan, his village of Lata is destroyed, and his family is scattered. They have to flee, and Suleiman does not know who's alive or who is dead in his family. And it's just, the story goes on from there to Suleiman. He gets the nickname Sooley. You probably figured that out already, right? I mean, it was a Sooley. Anyway, Suleiman gets recruited to a small college in North Carolina. He makes that college team. He's a bench warmer. He finally gets into the game. He performs well. They barely scrape into the NCAA tournament as the very last seed, and they have to play the number 1 seed. They have an upset. And this book is great because I was gripping my seat, because it's kind of like the Cinderella story of the very low-seeded team that goes to the Final Four, all right? And I'm not going to give anything more away from that. But, back in Africa, he's become like this hero. People are watching him on TV in the Final Four tournament, and it's just great. And I loved everything about this book, because I knew that my heart would be broken in the end, and I knew that it was coming. I mean, it's just foreshadowed and foreshadowed and foreshadowed. But I'm not going to give away the end, because you will be surprised. I was devastated, but not in the way that I thought. I actually thought I was predicting how this book was going to end all the way through. And to John Grisham's credit, he always does it. He just has an ending. The last book that I read for him, No Time for Mercy, had a great ending. One of my favorite endings was the Sycamore Row. I love just endings that just make you tear up and think about life and how much you have it so well here in America. And I'm just like, yes. Is this a devastating book? It is super devastating, but so well worth the read, because you learn so much about an African culture that is in such need of help. And it just makes you angry that you just can't force the people in the planet that have the resources to help them in the right ways. I mean, sometimes we just throw money at the problem, but that just goes to the warlords and the corrupt governments, and that's not that. There's just got to be something. I mean, we're living in an age where we can make things happen for these people, and it seems like we don't, and I don't know how to fix it. And that's part of the theme of this book is being an NBA star the only option for 1 out of 30 million people that are living in these poverty-ridden places? I mean, I don't know how many people are in Africa, probably billion. 2 or 3 out of a billion get to come to the United States and be an NBA star. And is that all that we can save? I mean, that's what you're thinking about when you're reading this, because, you know, if you've seen the movie The Constant Gardener, or read the book by John le Carré, The Constant Gardener, or any movies or anything set in the heart of Africa, you just can't help but just, I don't know. I can't save the world, folks. I can't. I don't know what to do. These kind of books make me appreciate what I have here in the United States, and also makes me want to help the rest of the world, but I don't know where to start. Don't know where to start. Because things are bleak out there. And John Grisham does just such a good job of just describing the bleakness and the danger that the people living in these countries face on a daily, moment-by-moment basis. Just a simple bus ride from one village to the next could be the end of your life and the end of every dream you've ever had. And it's just, I read this in one sitting. I could not take my eyes off of it. I was glued to it. I think it's one of John Grisham's best works, and I've read them all. I got them all here. Sooley. If you can handle it, if you can handle a read that is a tough read, a very gripping read, a read that will just have you sweating in the palms, a read that not only is going to have you sweating for the danger that the characters are facing, but cheering Sooley on in the NCAA tournament as he is the Cinderella star. I mean, you just cheer him on in everything that he does. But yet you just know that things could come crashing down at any moment. Oh, I was gripping. My heart was in my throat, folks. The entire read, even in the joyful parts, I was just like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. It's a book about a place on the planet where nothing goes right. And I loved every minute of it, because I love that kind of stuff. I love books that make me think. I love books that are hard to read. I give Sooley 10 out of 10, man. This book is fantastic, and it made me think a lot about our world.